Well, I am, first of all, I just want to say that I'm thrilled to be part of this program. And, and I think that what I contribute to not only this course of healthcare marketing, but to the program in general is real world experience as well as academic experience, which I think is important in terms of conducting a graduate school class like this one in healthcare marketing. I myself have always been in healthcare marketing. I've grown up with it. I joke that as healthcare marketing has evolved, so have I. So although we have new techniques or innovations, it's still fundamentally about how you build a program, how you execute on the objectives. That's all founded on research, of course. So I absolutely love being part of this program. And just as a funny story, it's when I applied to be an instructor, it was on the PRSA website. So the website has these little scrolls of ads or opportunities. So I said, you know what, I think I could do this. So I clicked it and I filled out all of the information. And then I don't know if it was a year or two later is when you all contacted me that there was an opening, and then we did the interview. So I guess part of that is taking a chance. And in the course, you also have to sort of get out of your comfort zone and take a chance because you don't know it all. Healthcare marketing is always evolving, and the course itself takes traditional marketing concepts and applications and then applies it to a healthcare setting. Now, some people will say, okay, that's healthcare, that's marketing a hospital or a certain organization. But I think this course, the healthcare marketing course, is rich in that it not only explores your typical brand development or promoting an idea or concept in terms of a hospital or an entity, but it also looks at how you can use these applications in terms of a social marketing context to either inform an audience of how to improve their health and well-being, or how to take something away or change a behavior so that they can improve their health or well-being. It also is very practical. I've learned that the students who have professional experience, for instance, or have an acute interest in healthcare are able to take what we do week by week by week and build on that for their professional experience. Or even if they're new and they don't really have a job, then they can take that and build a portfolio. So my goal is for them at the end of this course to have a portfolio that they can use and apply. So I do think that education and healthcare are part of my DNA. My daddy was a 30-year educator, and I have always been in healthcare marketing and communications from the get-go. I was hired right out of college to work at a hospital, and then I was hired again for a federal sector hospital. And all of my experience professionally, academically, have revolved around healthcare at one point or another. I have a master's of public health, and then my doctorate is in health policy. So I'm all about health education, and I just love sharing my expertise and then learning from the students. I also think that that's a bonus of the program, is that the faculty, at least in my experience, are able to gain just as much from the students as I hope students gain from me. I also, when I was thinking about this, I had my dissertation chair used to say all of the time, enjoy this time. It's difficult, it's challenging, but consider it your intellectual playground. So I guess I just don't want to ever leave the playground. And I love being in that intellectual playground. So I really enjoy being part of this program. Well, for me, as I said, I'm immersed in healthcare every day, all the time. In addition, I have a husband who's the CEO of a hospital. So our dinner table is always about healthcare talk. But what I do is I do this class once a year at this time. So every day when I'm reading, when I'm doing my job, if I'm listening to a speaker or involved in some kind of online activity, I kind of bank that and I say, okay, this is going to be good for this week's topic. I also have included guest speakers, about 2 to 3, depending on the availability, so that the guest speakers can then put the content into practical experience and then have just an open discussion. So I do that. And also, I like to include case studies in each of the lessons so that it's not just theory or textbook or my lesson, but it actually looks at, how does a hospital do this, or how does an association get this done? And a good example of that, which you don't think about, is one of the sessions that we have is on theory and models, which I love, and most people don't really grasp the intent of. But if you can take the theory or the model and then show how it has been applied to, let's say, an award-winning communications campaign, then that makes more sense. So I do a lot of that. And I think that just using the ongoing knowledge, because it's just ever evolving, and it's kind of a new industry if you think about healthcare marketing. And it's like a baby compared to the other marketing in other industries. So there's always something new and there's always something innovative, but at the same time, it's classically oriented to improving someone's health and well-being, or showing how your organization or institution can meet a person's needs, someone who is looking to expand their own understanding of what can make them feel better, or what can they make them be better. I'm trying to think of other things that we do. I do a narrated presentation each year. That might be a simple thing each week. So my narrated presentation each week then takes these concepts, develop a slide, and I narrate it, because I think having that voice, or that, even if it's just the narration over a presentation, really helps put things in perspective. And I think it probably is a little bit of an appreciation from the students, because they're just not reading all of the time. But I work to really expand on the ideas and the concepts in these narrated presentations. So what I wanted to share, because I think it's important, because sometimes when you're doing an online class, you don't have that, you don't have that interaction. So it's really hard to get to know people. But I find, especially doing the guest speakers, that I've really gotten to know people. And I think the feedback is the reward. I have 3 instances. I just want to share them, whether or not you use them or not, just in your role. I think it's important for you to hear. So I had a student once who works for WebMD, and she was excellent. Of course, she was, a professional in her own right. And I actually was a little bit intimidated by her, to be honest with you. But toward the end, she really interacted with me on email, and we had the opportunity to kind of get to know each other that way. But she enjoyed the focus on theories and models, which I mentioned is not always for everybody. But then she was able to take that and use that in her WebMD world, which I thought was so fascinating. And it was so wonderful for her to share how it really opened her eyes that, okay, well, there's basis for what I might be doing in my own job. And it's not just something I put together. So that was something that was the first time I really had that direct feedback. The other 2 times, which also shows the diversity of healthcare marketing, is one student works for a prosthetic organization, and he used the information in the class literally week to week to week to build himself a plan that he could execute on to improve sales for his prosthetic organization. Now, fast forward to this year, and he is now going to become the director of marketing and communications for this organization. And then my final example that, again, just shows sort of the health and well-being and health issue focus of the class is someone who works for the American Heart Association. And she also just used the health communications portion of this to advance her program and her footprint in the American Heart Association. So again, whether you use it or not, I just thought you should hear those stories of reflection, because I think it really shows that the program makes an impact to the professional. And we don't always hear that. I love the sound of Mardi Gras, like the crowd and the cheers and all the different voices. And that's a sound that makes me happy.